we have to be patient, and we have a long-term plan. It isn't a light switch, and you can't run a club like Manchester United on knee-jerk reactions to some journalist who goes off on one, every week. Rúben, he needs to demonstrate that he's a great coach over 3 years.
This was how Sir Jim Ratcliffe responded, while the world around him demanded blood. The media, the ex-players, and even sections of Manchester United's own fans, all calling for Ruben Amorim to be sacked. At a club where patience has long been mistaken for weakness, Ratcliffe's words sounded almost defiant. How could he stand by a manager many were calling the worst of the post-Ferguson era, perhaps even in the club's modern history? Why 3 years? Why commit to a man when the results suggested anything but progress? At first glance, it seems irrational. But this was not emotion, it was calculation. A strategic act of resistance against everything Manchester United had become. Impatient, reactionary, and obsessed with the short term. To understand the logic behind Ratcliffe's decision, we must go back to where the modern chaos began. Back to the moment stability left Old Trafford. Back to 2013, when the man who built empires stepped down.
Your job now is to stand by our new manager.
Those words were meant as a command. Instead, they became a forgotten prophecy, because ever since Sir Alex Ferguson retired, Manchester United has stood by no one for long. This is the story of why Sir Jim Ratcliffe gave Ruben Amorim 3 years to prove himself, and why that decision may define not just a manager, but the very future of Manchester United itself. When Sir Alex Ferguson said those words, he was not just speaking to a crowd, he was speaking to the soul of the club. He knew what was coming, the turbulence, the turnover, the temptation to chase instant success, because he had lived it before. In 1989, they wanted him out. 3 years without a trophy, chants of Fergie out echoing around Old Trafford. But United stood by him, and that single act of patience changed football forever.
So when I went to United at first, my job was to build the foundation in that football club, because I think most managers quite right away have to think about a football team, the first team, because it is the result industry. They're there to make sure the first team does well. I never thought that way. I thought about rebuilding the youth in the club, so that gave me a foundation and it gave me a pipeline of young players coming through.
Ferguson's philosophy was not built on miracles, it was built on time. While others managed teams, he built an institution. He created a pipeline of youth, a self-sustaining cycle that turned raw potential into generations of champions. He understood something most owners never do. Success is not an event, it is an ecosystem. Ferguson's warning to stand by your manager was not nostalgia. It was a principle, one that Manchester United abandoned the moment he left. Since 2013, the club has tried to buy back what can only be built. Different managers, different systems, different philosophies, all torn down before they could grow roots. And now, Ratcliffe's words echo Ferguson's almost word for word. Both men understood that chaos destroys talent faster than failure ever could. Patience in their eyes was not weakness, it was strategy. Ferguson's advice was simple: stand by your manager. But in the decades since, Manchester United has done the exact opposite. And that choice, more than any missed signing or lost final, is what built the crisis Ratcliffe inherited. Since Sir Alex Ferguson's retirement, Manchester United has lived in a storm of constant change. Every manager that arrived came with a promise. Every one of them left under pressure.
David Moyes was informed in person that his term as United manager will be ending after not even one full season in charge.
In my time at Manchester United could not be a revolution when I went in. It had to be evolution, and it had to take time to change. I still felt that at the time that only to be given 10 months in the job wasn't long enough. And I think now people looking back at Manchester United would understand that there was a lot of difficulties.
David Moyes inherited an empire, but was given less than a year to prove he could hold it together. He spoke of evolution, not revolution, yet was removed before the first stage of rebuilding had even begun.
Manchester United have sacked Louis van Gaal after 2 years in charge of the club.
Jose Mourinho is the third to be sacked in 5 years.
Clarity is that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has left his role as Manchester United manager.
But Manchester United have sacked their manager, Erik ten Hag.
In just over a decade, Manchester United has gone through more permanent managers than the previous 50 years combined. Each one brought a different philosophy, a different blueprint, a different plan. But none were given the one thing that Ferguson was: time.
If your direction's always changing, you can't expect to be able to win the league.
When you change your direction every season, you never truly move forward. You simply go in circles, losing identity with every turn. And that brings us to today. Sir Jim Ratcliffe has promised that the cycle ends here. 3 years for Ruben Amorim. 3 years to prove that patience can still build greatness in a sport that has forgotten how to wait.
Ruben, you're the 6th permanent manager of Manchester United since the club last won the Premier League title. What gives you the belief that you can be the one to restore the club to that level?
Another new era, another new gamble.
I'm a little bit a dreamer, and I believe in myself. I also believe in the club. We will play a different type of football. We have our ideas. I'm not saying it's the best ideas, but it's our way of seeing football. So it's not evolution or revolution, it's a change in the way we play football.
A dreamer in a club that has forgotten how to dream. Ruben Amorim arrived at Manchester United with bold ideas and a quiet confidence. He spoke of change, not chaos. Vision, not desperation. But behind that calm exterior was a man walking into the hardest job in world football.
Sometimes I want to quit, sometimes I want to be here for 20 years.
Show me a successful team that just adapts. We're hungry to win, but it's reactionary.
2 voices, one in the dugout wrestling with the weight of expectation, the other from a man who knows the club's history and the system that swallows managers whole. Together, they tell the same story. Manchester United's problem has never truly been the manager, it has been the system. Sir Jim Ratcliffe's decision to give Amorim 3 years is not about sentiment. It is about breaking the pattern. A manager cannot rebuild what is broken if the foundation keeps shifting beneath him. 3 years gives Amorim room to build his way, not just survive from one result to the next. Amorim's belief might seem naive to some, but it mirrors the same faith that once rebuilt Manchester United after its darkest days. For Ratcliffe, that faith is the point. The dreamer in the dugout is more than a gamble. He is the test of whether patience still has a place in modern football. Long before Sir Jim Ratcliffe or Ruben Amorim, there were 2 men who built Manchester United from the ground up. Sir Matt Busby, Sir Alex Ferguson. 2 eras, 1 philosophy. Both believed that success built on youth lasts longer than success bought in panic.
The youth in the club, so that gave me a foundation and it gave me a pipeline of young players coming through, and my conviction was never going to change. And I told the directors on day one that's exactly what I was going to do.
That philosophy did not just create footballers, it created generations. From the Busby babes of the 1950s to the class of '92, United became known not only for winning, but for developing greatness. Sir Matt Busby's patience built a team that rose from tragedy to triumph. After the Munich air disaster, he rebuilt from the ashes, trusting youth once again. 10 years later, they became champions of Europe. Both Busby and Ferguson understood something that statistics cannot measure. When you invest in youth, you are not just building players, you are building culture. Young players absorb a club's DNA. They grow into it. But that process takes time. Modern football rarely allows for that patience. Managers chase results, owners chase revenue, and the long-term vision gets lost. Since Ferguson left, United tried to skip the process, buying ready-made stars instead of nurturing the next generation. The result was inconsistency, inflated wages, and no clear identity, linking back to present. Ratcliffe's new vision and Amorim's appointment signal a return to those roots. Not nostalgia, but necessity. It is the same principle that built 2 golden eras in United's history: time, trust, and youth. From Busby to Ferguson, the lesson has never changed. You build the future by believing in the young, and that belief only works if you give it time to grow. Sir Jim Ratcliffe has made it clear that he does not want to repeat the mistakes of the past decade. Manchester United's rebuild under Ineos is not designed around superstars, but systems, around development, not desperation. Instead of chasing headlines, Ineos is chasing potential. For the first team, United are targeting players entering their prime years, 26 and below, players who can perform immediately and lead a new era. Names like Matthijs de Ligt, Noussair Mazraoui, Matheus Cunha, and Brian Mbeumo reflect that shift. These are not aging stars, but professionals entering their peak, ready to compete while still hungry to improve. Alongside them, Ineos has invested in a new generation of high-ceiling young players who are ready for the first team, but will continue to grow over the next 2 to 3 years, perfectly aligned with Ruben Amorim's 3-year plan. Players like Lenny Yoro, 19, Senna Lamans, 23, Benjamin Šeško, 22, and Patrick Dorgu, 20, represent this new balance between readiness and potential. They are not just signings for the future, they are the future being built into the present. But Ineos knows that even the most talented young signings cannot sustain the club alone. To secure the long-term pipeline, they are also building beneath the surface, signing some of the most promising teenagers in the world. Chida Obi, Aiden Heaven, Sekou Kone, Diego Leon, and Cristiano Roscoe represent the next wave, the players who will mature behind the scenes while the first team evolves. Add that to the young talents already breaking through, Kobbie Mainoo, Amad Diallo, and others rising through United's ranks. And a picture begins to form. A structure, a vision that connects every level of the club. It is a clear break from the Glazer era, where the club spent heavily but thought short-term. Ineos has taken lessons from its other sporting ventures, cycling, sailing, and football. Across all of them, the strategy is the same. Build performance cultures that outlast any individual manager. In that context, Ruben Amorim's 3-year window begins to make sense. Developing youth requires time, not transfers. The first year was about building understanding, the second, cohesion, the third, maturity and results. Ineos is not investing only in footballers, it is investing in a generation that will peak together. If the system works, United will not need to rebuild every few years. The club will evolve naturally from within. This is not a short-term revolution. It is a patient reconstruction of identity. And Ratcliffe's bet is simple. If you give young talent stability and a manager time to shape it, Manchester United can rise again, not through another rebuild, but through renewal. 3 years. It sounds simple, but in football, it can feel like a lifetime. Yet for Sir Jim Ratcliffe, 3 years is not a random promise. It is a structured plan. In the first year, Ruben Amorim reset the culture, cleared the noise, assessed the players, and introduced his system. It was the foundation phase, rarely glamorous, often misunderstood. In the second year, the plan begins to take shape. The younger players mature, the tactics tighten. The team starts to reflect the manager's identity. Mistakes still happen, but progress becomes visible. By the third year, the expectation shifts. The system should be functional. The players should be adapted. That is when judgment is fair, not before. This timeline mirrors what successful rebuilds across Europe have proven. Jurgen Klopp needed almost 4 years to turn Liverpool from chaos into contenders. Pep Guardiola's first season at Manchester City was difficult, yet the board stood firm. Even Mikel Arteta, once written off at Arsenal, reached consistency only after his 3rd season. Ratcliffe's plan follows the same principle, that transformation, not transition, takes time. Financially, this approach also makes sense. Every sacking costs millions in compensation. Every rebuild wastes investment in players who were never given time to develop. But patience is cheaper than chaos, and more powerful than panic. 3 years gives stability to investors, belief to players, and credibility to the project. It tells the football world that Manchester United is no longer a club chasing quick fixes, but one willing to rebuild the right way. 3 years may not guarantee success, but it guarantees something Manchester United has lacked for over a decade: direction. And in the long game of football, direction is the first step back to dominance. Talk is easy in football. Patience sounds noble in theory, but pressure changes everything. The promise of 3 years can shrink to 3 months when the losses begin to pile up. Sir Jim Ratcliffe's plan depends on conviction, but also on courage. The courage to stay silent when the headlines scream for change. The courage to trust the process when the table shows 12th instead of 4th. The question is not whether Ratcliffe believes in patience, it is whether he can survive the storm that comes with it. The pressure will come from every side: supporters demanding results, sponsors seeking stability, and a media that thrives on chaos. If United continue to lose in such poor fashion, will Ineos truly stand firm? Or will the cycle repeat, another project ended before it ever truly began? True patience requires evidence. That is why Ratcliffe's vision cannot rely only on results. It must be measured by milestones, visible progress in youth development, tactical clarity, dressing room unity. If those signs exist, time can be justified. Without them, the 3-year promise becomes another line in the club's long history of broken plans. Patience is not about waiting. It is about what you do while you wait. For Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ruben Amorim, the test is not how they handle success. It is how they endure the silence between victories. In football, patience is often mistaken for weakness. But history shows the opposite is true. Every great era was born from someone who refused to panic. Sir Matt Busby rebuilt through tragedy. Sir Alex Ferguson endured years of doubt before lifting his first trophy. Now, Sir Jim Ratcliffe stands at a crossroads, choosing patience in an age that no longer believes in it. 3 years is not a guarantee of success, it is a guarantee of intent. It tells the world that Manchester United will not live on impulse anymore, that the club is willing to think, plan and build again. If it works, the reward will not only be trophies, it will be something rarer, identity restored and belief reborn. In the end, the 3-year plan is not about Ruben Amorim alone. It is about Manchester United learning to stand still long enough to grow again. Because greatness is not built in haste, it is built in time. This is Manchester United's new beginning, and this time the story will not be rushed.